Hello and welcome to the Asian Game. I'm your host, Scott McIntyre, coming to you today from the Thai capital, Bangkok, where we are preparing. Countdown is on for the final of the 2022 AFF Mitsubishi Electric Cup. Easy for you to say it is Thailand and Vietnam in the final. I'm delighted to say I'm joined once again by Ryan Walters, who is in Hanoi for that first leg. Ryan, welcome back.
Great to be here. Great to be on the pod. Hanoi is a little gray, as folks that are watching this can see. It's a little gray.
Yeah, it's probably a bit colder than Bangkok as well. It's not particularly blazing sunshine here either. And maybe the weather actually is going to play a factor. I know a few of the Thai team have noted that it is quite different coming from one place to the other. Travel's going to be an advantage. So, just to set the scene, of course, this is the showpiece event, regional football for the national teams of Southeast Asia. We've gone through the playoff. We've gone through the group stage. We've gone through the semi-finals. Vietnam winning it 2-0 on aggregate over Indonesia, and Thailand with a 3-1 aggregate victory over Malaysia to set the stage for where we are now. Thankfully for you and I, we didn't need to travel from the semi-finals. You were in Hanoi for the second leg. I was in Bangkok for that. So, yes, Ryan, the first leg in Jakarta, you were also at. It was scoreless there. Then a brace from Nguyen Thanh Lien with the two goals that took Vietnam through to the final. Just looking back on the semis, the two legs, I think we're right to say that Vietnam probably deserved their spot in the final.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think, and this was a lot of the talking points after the first leg, that it was opportunity missed for Indonesia again. I feel like it was really reminiscent of that match when Thailand came to Jakarta, where it felt like they could get the win. It felt like, especially in the first half, that they were playing much, much stronger. They had some good chances. Dong Van Lam had a great game in Jakarta, though. They still haven't conceded in this tournament, and I think the defense shored things up there. But I think, when you let Nguyen Thanh Lien score in the third minute and the second leg, I mean, honestly, at that point, it was kind of game over in a lot of ways, just because a draw would have done it for Indonesia. But I think that just was a gut punch right away, just how easily they were able to tear through that defense within the first 5 minutes, and that just set the stage for the rest of the half, where Indonesia was trying to catch up and they couldn't. And then the second half starts, and it was almost the exact same timing in the second half. I think it was the 47th minute that Thanh Lien got his brace, and the marking just wasn't there on that one. I think that's the difference between Indonesia and Vietnam right now, is that the defense just wasn't as sharp as it should have been for Indonesia. I don't know how Thanh Lien found himself open on a corner kick to head that second one home. That's the guy you got to be marking, but he's a special player, and he found that little bit of space. It looked like a missed assignment, and he got in there, and at 2-0, that was job done. And I think, like you say, a deserved win for Vietnam. I think Indonesia and Indonesian fans will still feel they probably could have had a better showing and should have had a better showing in the first leg, but I don't think anybody's going to argue that Vietnam shouldn't be in the final.
Yeah, I think it was pretty much the same occasion here in the second leg. Malaysia with a bit of a surprise. I think it's right to say 1-0 win at home, a match where they were probably second best throughout that as well. It got an early goal. Thailand had the bulk of possession, the bulk of chances, couldn't break them down, set things up nicely for the second leg, but an early-ish goal here from, again, who else but Tirasin Dangda put it level on aggregate, and then there was always really a sense that it was going to be Thailand from then on in. They got a couple of other goals. They looked comfortable throughout. Malaysia spoke to a few of the players afterwards, and they were, pretty much accepting of the result. I spoke with a few of the Thai coaching staff as well, and they also feel, as I'm sure Vietnam do, that it's the two best teams through to the final, which is not always the way that we see things at tournaments. I know that today in the press conference that you were at, Mano Polking made the point, it's probably the best attack, that being Thailand up against the best defence, as you said, still to concede, that being Vietnam. But he also made the point that it's the second best defence up against the second best attack as well. So it really is, I think it's set up to be an absolutely amazing final. The last hurrah at home for Park Hang-seo, the Vietnamese coach. Only one more time I need to cross paths with him. It's going to be quite.
He's been perfectly friendly.
Yeah. To you, wait till he sees me today. No, he's been good to deal with. It's been a great tournament, and it's just set up so fantastically. I mean, I think the advantage is clearly with Vietnam. I'm not sure, how you organise tournaments like this, but the fact that Thailand have had to travel this way, playing a day after, I'm not quite sure how those factors are are calculated. And then, of course, both teams having to come back to Bangkok, so there's no real advantage aside from the fact that you've got 19,000 fans at home. But as we know, it's not being played at the National Stadium, the second leg here. It's being played in Pathum Thani at the Thammasat Stadium. It's about 20 kilometres outside of central Bangkok. It's a satellite town. It's a university town. Again, a curious location, but that is what it is. So let's look ahead to this first leg in Hanoi. Like I said, you're at the presses, the pre-match press conference today. Park Hang-seo, as is his way, it wasn't overly verbose. Not that he ever is. Mano Polking had a little bit to say. What was the mood like coming out from the pre-match festivities, and what's the mood like amongst, as we know, a really rabid football fan base there in Vietnam?
Yeah, I think just kind of walking around, and I've actually had some time to walk around Hanoi today, which has been lovely, and everybody is talking about this. This is something that's very much on the consciousness of the people of the city. Anywhere that I've gone and brought it up, people are very aware of what's going on. We finally have a weekend game. This game's going to be taking place on a Friday night, which is lovely. Like you say, scheduling might be something to look at for this in the future. Our final is going to be on a Monday night, which is not ideal. There are rumors that it might be at Raja Mangala. I don't know how they're going to do that because Blackpink just had a massive concert there that destroyed the field. But
what is Blackpink?
Sir, it's only one of the best K-pop groups in the world.
Right. That explains why you know it. It's different ends of the color spectrum. That's all I know.
They have a Thai member amongst their midst, so they're very popular in Thailand. I almost said here in Thailand. I'm not there yet.
Right.
I think the mood in the camp right now is that I think with Thailand, with Mano Polking, it's a situation of they know that their backs are against it in this first leg, like you say, because they have one fewer day of rest. They had to travel up here, whereas Vietnam had was a pretty comfortable win in the end. I don't think there was really any point in that match after the third minute when Tien Lin gets that opener that they were too concerned about the game. They were in high spirits afterwards. Don Van Hao stopped by the mix zone and had some interesting comments about the Mark Clock clip that's now been picked up by quite a few outlets online. Said that he's a Hollywood actor and he doesn't really care what he does. So Van Hao being Van Hao.
He didn't push you away or try and break your leg from behind or anything else? No? Yeah.
I kept my distance. I kept a good meter between us in the mix zone and just kind of like threw the mic at him. I think Thailand, to be honest, what I think it is kind of managing expectations that I don't know that they're really going to come out and try to attack this one. A lot of what Polking was saying was that we want to be alive in this to play in front of our fans. So I think it's going to be very similar to the match that was in Kuala Lumpur, where they're going to come out, they're going to try to contain, which, look, we've seen Vietnam be contained in this tournament. Singapore held them scoreless. So the recipe is there to keep them off of the score sheet. And I think we're really going to see a much more defensive Thai side here, which, going back and kind of touching on the second leg that you saw there in Bangkok, I think that was a mistake from Malaysia. They came out and they played very defensively in the first half, and Thailand just ran all over them. Obviously, it's a different situation if Thailand's going to try to be defensive against Vietnam, but I think they should be playing into their strengths and they should be coming out and they should be attacking. And Tirtan rightly was the one that was targeted by Park Hang-seo as the man to shut down. He said, if we can shut them down, then we can. If we can shut him down, then we can shut them down. So I think that's going to be the key battle is whether or not Tirtan can find some space.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I agree that Thailand are going to come there and try and just lock up shop. I don't think that's the way that Mano Polking, has ever really approached things, with his time with club sides or the national teams. I think they're going to go out there and try and play as they have been. It's obviously, we're talking, as we've said repeatedly, against a team that hasn't conceded a goal. The evolution of Dang Van Lam, we've spoken a lot about as well. He's now, with Malaysia out of the tournament, I thought maybe Faisal Halim is in the running for the player of the tournament. It's unusual to see a keeper win this award, but I think if Vietnam were to were to triumph, yeah, you're probably going to go maybe a long way to get a better overall performer than he has. His time in Japan, I think, polished him technically. He's very good now with the ball at his feet. I don't know if that was a particular strength of his in previous years, but I think Thailand will play as they have been. Whether they have the creativity to break them down, there's no Super Nut, there's no Super Choc, there's no Chanatip. We've spoken about the players that aren't here. They have been good, particularly the wide areas. Ekanit, Bordin have been good, and you've got Adisak and Tirisin up front who are clinical finishers as well. But I agree with what you said. Also, that I think Tiraton is going to be a key. I can't remember a player going from, quite a radical positional shift from, an attacking, essentially a wing back in the way that Thailand have often played at national team level, now through into a central role where he's tasked with defensive responsibilities, but as well as being the creative hub and real heartbeat. He's turned into a complete, number 6/number 8 and taken to it with absolute aplomb, not early in his career either. So, I think he is going to be the key player. And Paul King's made this point repeatedly as well. Okay, there are players that are missing. There are some players that we haven't seen with the national team so much, but there still is an experienced core within the side. Tirisin's the greatest player in the tournament, say, history. Tiraton, Kritsada, who's been, so right down the spine of the team. You've got experience, you've got quality, and you've got real class as well. So I think, it's not a question of Thailand coming out and going all guns blazing, but I think they're going to try and get on the ball. They're going to try and control things with the possession as much as they can. Move it around, be patient and wait for the gaps to open in Vietnam. And the question is, how do you open them? How do you exploit them? How do you drag them out of position? I think there's going to be fascinating tactical battles playing out right across the pitch. So, absolutely looking forward to this first leg. You'll be there in Hanoi, and then, hopefully you'll be here to join me in Bangkok for the second as well. Paul King was saying today, okay, we just want to be alive in the second leg. Come on, man. This is not going to be a situation where Vietnam are 3 goals to the good. It's going to be tight, I think, no matter what it is. Even he made the point, even if we're a goal or so behind, you're confident that you can still get the job done here as well. So how do you think things ultimately will turn out in this first leg?
I think we could see the away goals really play in here. If Thailand can get a goal, even if they lose 3-1, if they can get a goal in this and then take that back to Bangkok, I think that's going to be really, really key for them. And I think that if anybody's going to be able to open up that defense and get in there and get a goal against Vietnam, it's going to be this Thai side. And this isn't any disrespect to anybody that was in Group B with Vietnam or Indonesia, but Indonesia was struggling in front of net in the group stage. And so them not being able to break down Vietnam wasn't tremendously surprising. So Vietnam are getting a test that they haven't had before. And like you say, especially with Tirtan doing all things in the midfield there, it's not just trying to shut him down on the wing, because like you say, he's coming in and he's being kind of a box to box, really. Like you say, he's being a 6 or an 8 a lot of times. So centrally, they're a lot stronger as well. And I think that's where, for Vietnam, I think Win Quang Hai, he's silently had an okay tournament. I think we all had a little bit higher expectations out of him. He had that brilliant no-look assist against Malaysia in the group stage. And he did have a really good game here in Hanoi against Indonesia, controlling play, keeping possession. And so I think there's going to be a lot of battles in the midfield there, in the center of the pitch. And who can come out on top of that is going to go a long way to determine who can get on the score sheet. And I think maybe, honestly, I could see 1-1. I could see it being a draw, which would be a huge advantage for Thailand. I don't see a ton of goals in this first leg, though. I think it's going to be pretty cagey. It's always cagey with Vietnam. Their first goal is going to be to shut them down. And so I think for them, a 1-0 win going into Bangkok would be great, because then they've got away goals on their side. So I think that's what they'll be going for. In the end, I just don't know that you can keep Tirisin off of the score sheet right now. That Tirtan to Tirisin connection is just magic at the moment. And again, Vietnam haven't had to face anybody quite like that, a connection quite like that in this tournament yet. So I'll go ahead and say I think it's going to finish 1-1.
Yeah, I've got a feeling it might finish in a low-scoring draw as well. The other point that I know that has been concerning the Thai camp is particularly on the basis of what we saw in the World Cup, where we saw correct additional time being added on and played. They feel that a lot of the opponents they faced, and I suspect this may be the case with Vietnam as well, if they were to take a lead, that they look to slow down the tempo of the game, the rhythm of the game, and I know that they're not happy with the fact that keepers have been hanging on to the ball for 3-4 times the permitted duration that's in the laws of the game, and referees not adding on that additional time. I believe it's a Korean referee who's been appointed for this match as well, which I know that they weren't happy about it, and I can in the previous game, and I can see I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it is a Korean referee in charge for this second leg, and if that is the case, I also question that, because we shouldn't be having, as we don't in qualifiers, have referees in place from one of the nations obviously involved. Neither, I think, in this tournament where we're bringing in neutral referees from across Asia. I don't think it's right to have a referee from the same nation as one of the coaches. I think if we brought in a Brazilian referee or a German referee, I think, there'd be questions asked. Why are we bringing in a referee from the nation? And it's natural. I'm not saying that, the referees are doing this, that, or the other, but one of your countrymen is involved. And if it is true that the Korean referee has been appointed to this, first thing, I'd be very surprised that they've gone ahead and done it again. And I think it's not right, to be honest. So there's a few things that, we need to consider in the first leg, and then maybe look ahead to the second. I thought the Jordanian referee who did the second leg of the semi-final up here was really good the other night. We don't know he'll be appointed because it's a massive occasion. Could all come down to things here in Bangkok. Yeah, so Ryan, enjoy the first leg in Hanoi. It should be a massive occasion. It's just a shame that we can't have both of the second leg in these countries, because the fans are so good in both nations. I'm sure if Vietnam were to get a first leg, there'll be a big street party. Be careful. I've been there. I was there for 2018 when they won the second leg of the final at home, and there was all sorts of fireworks going on. Rooftop, people up on really perched in positions they shouldn't have been on top of trucks and whatnot. So don't climb unsteady ladders. Don't get involved in the pyrotechnics, and enjoy the evening.
Where's the fun in that? I'm going to have flares in every single hand.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you make it safely here. I'm back to Bangkok, and we'll be together to preview.
Wait. You didn't give your prediction in the first leg here.
No. I said I think it'll be a low-scoring draw.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Whether that's scoreless, maybe a 1-1. I think it'll be tight. I think Thailand can score. Yeah. Let's say 1-1. In our private prediction league, I'm doing terribly though, so I don't know if it's worth listening to anything I have to say. But and enjoy the final. Safe travels across here to Bangkok. I look forward to catching up in person and previewing that massive second leg.
Yeah, thanks. Should be a good first leg, and like I say, looking forward to one. It's going to be at Raja Mangala, man. I got to see it. It's going to be there.
I hope so. Yeah, that is it for now. Enjoy the game. I'll be watching on TV. Yeah, and we'll chat to you soon.